Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sail and Chat episode. And this episode is actually kind of special because this one marks the 50k subscriber milestone. That's right, there are now 50,000 of you out there, hardcore Warships enthusiasts, who watch my channel. Holy crap. I mean, if we go back, let's say about maybe 2 years, and somebody said, "Oh, you're gonna have 50,000 people sub to your channel," I probably would have been like, "Nah, get out of here." So thank you all so much for your support. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to make these kinds of videos for all of you. And then, of course, let's also talk about the next 50,000 because, hey, you can only consider yourself a super legit YouTuber when you pass that 100k mark. Right? Right? Maybe. Okay. Yeah, anyways, next 50k. I mean, this channel is going to continue to focus on the things that brought you guys here. You know, it's going to be Warships and Warships related content, not just the game. The game is a big part now, but it's not always going to be the game. There's going to be the actual real life warships that are out there in the world that I want to see and I want to make videos of. And hopefully, you know, show you guys all of these awesome places. And not only that, but of course, any other warship games that happen to come out will probably be covered as well. So at least that's going to be the plan. And hopefully, we'll hit the 100k mark and then we can have another little celebration. Oh, speaking of celebration, as per other milestones that I've had in the past, there is going to be a bit of a giveaway here. So what's happening right now with the giveaway is I've got some confirmation from the NA side that we've got some ships to give away and we've got a couple of other things to give away. Now I'm going to add to that by throwing in some stuff that I can purchase. And so hopefully we're going to have a pretty good giveaway. Now the thing that we're waiting for is confirmation from Wargaming EU that they're going to basically honor the NA commitment in terms of prizes. So that, you know, if you win, then you're going to get it on EU if you happen to be on EU. And if you're on NA, you'll get it on NA. So of course this always leads to the question by SEA, which goes, what about us? Well, you know, I don't really have any contact with Wargaming Asia, so unfortunately I don't think they're going to be able to do anything, but I will probably most likely be just buying things out of my own pocket and throwing that in for the Asian server. Alright, so let's move on to channel updates because there's a little bit to talk about there. The Captain's Academy refresh and updates are almost done. There is still a CV video that I have to put out, as well as maybe a smoke video. So there's probably maybe 2 more there still to do, and then it's going to be completely back to all regular programming, which means I will probably have to catch up with some ship reviews. Another Know Your Ship will probably have to come out this month, and then of course I've got to catch up with some nautical tales and stuff like that. So, you know, keep your eyes open for that. Those things are all coming back. Alright. So now that I've got those things out of the way, let's talk about some other important stuff. Now, Wargaming on the 18th of November is doing their Let's Battle tour at the USS Intrepid Museum in New York. So, you know, I haven't gone to the other ones before, but I am going to go to this one because this one is actually somewhat closer to me. So probably going to go to this one in New York, you know, and then, I don't know, maybe I'll see some of you there. Of course, I am also going to be checking out the museum. That is one of the big draws of going to this particular event. It is going to be on an aircraft carrier museum, so I'm going to go there, probably going to get some footage, which means I will most likely have a video about that ship when I get back, sometime in, you know, after that date. And then there's one other thing I want to talk about there. There is an opportunity there on, I believe, the 19th, which is the day after the actual Let's Battle tour, where there's a chance I might be able to meet, I think, maybe 1 or 2 of the developers who've actually come out from Russia. At least that's what I've heard so far. So I'm going to try to, you know, wiggle my way in there, and maybe I'm going to be able to have a conversation with the devs and, I don't know, probably talk about some of the balancing issues and some of the things that, you know, I guess are frustrating in the game. And who knows, maybe if they have a conversation with somebody outside the company in person who maybe has some ideas, maybe we'll see some improvements. I'm not 100% sure, but hey, you know, better to try than to just sit on the sidelines and not do anything, right? Okay, so that's the first trip out of the way. Then there's a second trip that's happening around the end of November. And so what's going to happen is I'm actually, well, I'm turning almost 30. Jesus. Getting old, getting old. So, turning almost 30, and, my parents have offered to take me on a cruise. So that's cool. And what's going to happen is that instead of maybe flying down, we're going to drive down. So along the way, I'm like, you know what? There's a bunch of museums along the way. I want to go see them. And they've agreed to that. So what's going to happen now is, around the end of November to early December, I'm going to be away for about just maybe shy of 2 weeks. But during that time, going to be able to visit the North Carolina. Going to be able to visit the Yorktown, the Laffey, I believe, which is at the same place as the Yorktown Museum. Probably see like a submarine museum or two that's there as well. And then going to be able to go back up and see the Wisconsin. Now, I've seen the Wisconsin before, but with the streaming and the YouTubing, I've actually met through Twitch a docent on the Wisconsin. Now, the last time I was on the Wisconsin, there was no access to the interior of the ship. Could only walk around on the deck. And so, through Twitch and YouTube, this particular individual has said, hey, why don't you come to the Wisconsin and I'll give you a tour. And I'm like, yes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be able to, go visit these museums, see these ships up close in person. And of course, you guys are going to get a whole bunch of videos on these particular ships when I get back. And speaking of the Wisconsin, so after I confirmed that, I was going to go to Wisconsin, apparently a tour guide, or I guess they're called docents, from the North Carolina was visiting the Wisconsin. And the two docents had a chat, and the one on the Wisconsin mentioned me. And so the North Carolina guy was like, hey, why don't you give him my contact information? I'll give him a tour when he comes down. So I actually have two, tours arranged already. So that's fantastic. Looking super forward to that. And that's going to be the museum visits that I'm going to go to. Oh, and then there's one other thing. So on the cruise, and I know I'm most of the time just going to chill on the ship and just relax and breathe a little bit. But there's one stop that I'm making where I am definitely getting off the ship. So the ship is going to stop on the Dutch side of St. Martin, which... Now, those of you who enjoy airplanes or know things about plane spotting know that there is Princess Juliana Airport over there, and there's that beach that you can go to where airplanes basically land right on top of your head. So that should be a pretty wicked experience. Although, now that I think about it, I mean, that'd probably be like a separate bonus video. I know, I'm all about ships, but I do like my planes. I do like spotting planes and just those kinds of things. So probably bonus video for that, with planes landing into the airport and flying right over my head. That should be fun. So that's the trip. I mean, that is going to be a lot of fun. Well, hopefully nothing goes wrong. Hopefully, no sudden hurricane rolls in and everything gets canceled over. And, just hoping that everything goes according to plan and nothing disrupts things. But we'll see, because you never know, right? I mean, there could be a sudden rainstorm and that's it, for the day. So hopefully everything goes well, and by the time I get back, hopefully I'll have a lot of videos for all of you. All right. Wow. So gotten the stuff out of the way. Let me think about it. All of a sudden my mind has drawn a huge blank, and this happens occasionally, and I really hate it when it happens when I'm making a video, because it's all of a sudden I'm sitting there, I'm like, I've got this train of thought, and all of a sudden my train of thought just goes, oh, hold on a second, we're going on vacation. We're just going to stop, and we're going to leave you hanging. And I'm just sitting there going pretty sure I want to talk about something earlier, and then all of a sudden I can't remember. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old now. No, shouldn't say that, because I know some people out there who are going to be like, you're not old, you're 30, you're still a young whippersnapper. Stop it. Okay, anyways, right, so, ranked this season, right? It's actually been kind of fun. Ranked is kind of fun. Although, I've had people sit there and go, do you have any tips for ranked? Can you give us any tips for ranked? Is it, And the thing about ranked right now is there really is only one real tip I can give you, because so much of ranked is just a bit of a crapshoot because you don't really have full like coordination with your team. You sort of partial, I guess, coordination, right? Like you got a couple of people on the team who listen. There's always going to be like one or two guys who don't. It's hard to plan for that kind of stuff because you never really know who the one or two guys who don't listen is. It's like a cruiser who doesn't listen, maybe not the end of the world. A destroyer who doesn't listen, and let's say he's the only destroyer on team, then you've got a bit of a problem. So, yeah, teams are a little bit of a, yeah, it's a little bit of a crapshoot there. So, in terms of actual tips about what to do on each map and stuff like that, don't have the perfect answer to that. However, mind you, I can actually talk about one thing, which is really, really important in ranked. Let's say you're going on a bit of a losing streak, right? Well, it doesn't even have to be a losing streak. Let's just say you get on and your first battle is a loss. You play one more and your second battle is a loss. Probably a good idea to take a bit of a breather. Let's say half an hour to like an hour. Take a breather. Just stop playing for a while, go do something else, and go back to rank later. There's something about maybe the way that, you know, the number of battles are going and the way that the queue works or whatnot, that you have a tendency of running into like the same people and the same teams. And sometimes what happens is you play with the exact same people, and based on matchmaking, you sometimes get even assigned the same teams over and over again. And let's say you had a really bad team and you lose one, and the second time you lose a bad one with similar teams, just take a break. Because what happens is if you wait like half an hour and, you know, the room cycles differently or the people drop differently or queue up differently, you get different teammates, and maybe that's a huge deal. Like yesterday, now that I think about it, like I had a massive losing streak where I was like 4-0, and then I lost like the next 6 games in a row. And then I looked at the teams that I had, and I pretty much had the same teams. Whether it was just matchmaking, assigning ships to certain teams or whatnot, it was just like, wow, I kept getting the exact same team, and I keep losing because I was getting assigned the exact same team where maybe people didn't want to play together. So I went ahead and played 30 minutes of the division. I just ran one mission on the division, and I went back. And of course, the minute I went back, I got assigned a completely different team where I even had CVs in my game. And all of a sudden, I was able to recover. I was able to get a lot of wins, you know, in a row, and I was able to get back up to rank 4. So, you know, this is definitely something I think that is going to be a valuable bit of advice for ranked, is that, you know, if things are going badly, just take a breather, stop, come back later, and go again. If things are going well, oh, and then that's the other thing. If things are going well and you're on a win streak, keep going. Just don't stop. If you have a winning streak, just keep going. Don't stop. It seems like the game is very streaky like that, where if you get wins, you just keep getting them, and if you get losses, they keep coming. So, you know, if you're winning, just keep going. If you start losing, take a break. Right? I think that's pretty sound advice. All right, then. That pretty much, I believe, does it for me today in terms of the Sail and Chat episode. It's a little bit shorter just because I've actually got to run off to work again. Yeah, the student I'm tutoring, still got to work, right? Bills still have to be paid. Things still have to be done. So I'm off. This, you know, short video sort of updates you on everything that's happening or will happen in the next little while. And of course, you know, I am going to be having a separate video, by the way. Did I forget to mention that? I think I forgot to mention that. There's going to be a separate video where I announce all the things regarding the 50k sub giveaway. And of course, I will be reading your suggestions. And if there's something that really catches my eye, then I will definitely, you know, use one of those suggestions as that secondary thing instead of maybe t-shirt designs. Although I do hope maybe I could get a t-shirt design. That would be pretty cool as well. Anyways, for those of you who were watching this battle, this is a pretty cool battle, right? For those of you who weren't watching the battle, you should really watch this battle. This battle was actually quite a good ranked battle, actually. It's nice and tight, lots of action at the end, although for a while it was kind of boring because everybody just hides and smoke, but that's a story for another day. Anyhow, folks, take care. If you are, of course, still on your weekend, yay, have a great weekend. If you are somewhere in the world where Monday has started and you are back to work, have a great day at work, have a good week, and of course, I'm looking forward to talking to all of you again really soon.